Super. Hi guys, welcome to another Lead Feeder webinar. Super excited about this one. It's a topic that a lot of people have been speaking about lately, outbound. One thing that I've noticed as a CMO myself is that typically in the past I would get a lot of outreach. Over the past 2 months, I've been getting less outreach, funnily enough. And I think people are in a stage where they're, not really sure what the right move to make is. How do you go about doing a different approach on social? How do you go about structuring your email cadences? How do you make a cold call at the moment? And I'm super excited about the guests that I have on today that are going to bring us through some of those things. So before we get started and I introduce the guests, just a couple of bits. If you have any questions, please use the questions tab up on the top right hand corner. What we'll do during the Q&A session, there will be the opportunity to upvote some of those questions or all the questions, whatever ones you want. And then I'll pose those to either Dan or KD, and we can take it from there. Please feel free to throw some stuff into the chat as well. We do have some members of the Lead Feeder team in the chat. So if you have any questions that need immediate answering, please put it in there. But otherwise, we'll get to questions towards the end, okay? So without further ado, I just want to introduce our guests for today. So I have Dan, who I'd like to introduce first. So Daniel Disney, who's he's somebody that I come across very, very often on LinkedIn, same as KD, to be honest. But Dan is a proper social selling expert, right? So the one thing that stands out about Dan to me is one thing that he mentioned, just like not just fluff. So like for me as a marketer, right? But I also have a sales background. I hate fluff, right? If you're going to be selling something, make sure that you have the experience yourself to back it back up, right? So Dan is somebody that's selling himself and selling how he does social selling and how you should do social selling, but he's actually done it himself. So some of the stats around him is that he's opened up 25 million GBP in LinkedIn leads. He's gotten 600,000 followers on LinkedIn, right? He's the author of a book, £1 Million LinkedIn Message, and he's also set up the group, The Daily Sales. So, big guest here today. And then our second big guest again, on top of that, is Kevin KD Dorsey, also known as KD. He's current VP of Sales at Patient Flop. But the thing is with KD, just to mention that would be such an understatement. Kevin or KD is one of the people that as I said about Dan, I come across very, very often on LinkedIn. Nearly every single thing that I see Kevin post on LinkedIn is getting probably like 1,000 likes, right? There's lots of interaction going on around him. He offers such a good message, and I really enjoyed the content that he pushes out. He's been one of the most influential sales leaders on LinkedIn, and he's won awards for that. And he's also just started his own private content stream on Patreon, which is called the Inside Sales Excellence. And I'm really excited to have KD on today because he's going to bring us through some of the cold calling and cold email cadences that have worked really well for him. So I will stop talking now and hand things over to our guests. And we're going to start with social selling with Dan. Over to you, Dan.
Thank you very much, Andy, and thank you for an epic introduction there. Hello to everyone. It is an honor to be here today. These Lead Feeder webinars are fantastic, and I'm really excited to come and share some tips and insights with you today. So I'm going to talk you through social selling, how you guys can leverage LinkedIn and the world of social media, generate more leads, to generate more sales opportunities, build more pipeline. But as Andy said, no fluff, no theory. We're not going to go out there chasing likes and followers and hollow engagement just for the sake of it. We're gonna chase these things for real metrics, for genuine sales opportunities. So I'm going to jump straight into this, guys. As Andy mentioned, any questions, pop them into the questions part. We'll do a nice little Q&A at the end. But let's get started. Wanted to quickly open up because some people don't really fully understand why social selling is important, why LinkedIn is important as a sales tool. And one of the easiest ways I can describe it is using those little finger mazes, those sort of square mazes. You get 2 or 3 doors going into the maze, one leads to the middle, all the others lead to dead ends. This is prospecting right now. This is sales prospecting in 2020. Every single one of your prospects, every single one of your customers, even myself as a consumer, you guys as consumers, we all sit within our own little mazes and we each have different preferences. For some people, the only way you are ever going to get through to them and get them to buy from you is by picking up the phone and calling. And KD is going to give you some insane tips on how to do that. But for some people, they're not going to answer your cold calls. myself as a consumer, and I've made tens of thousands of cold calls, led cold calling in my sales teams for years. Personally, I'm not a fan of answering cold calls from salespeople. So if you're trying to sell to me, as many people do, cold calling is not going to be your effective strategy. But utilizing things like LinkedIn and social, well, that's where I am. That's where I'm present. And there are tons of people out there. I met a decision maker from a manufacturing company, a few £1 million turnover each year. They do not take cold calls. They were so passionate about this fact that they never answer a cold call, but they spend 2 hours on LinkedIn in the morning, 2 hours on LinkedIn in the evening. That's where you're going to reach them. So it's just appreciating that everyone's different. There is a pond of fish to fish in of sales opportunities by picking up the phone. There's a pond of fish to fish in by using LinkedIn. Same for email, same for text, same for post. As salespeople, our job is to make sure we're using as many of those opportunities as possible. So let's start off by looking at some of the mistakes that salespeople make very commonly on social selling. And when I get sort of called in to come and help a company with their LinkedIn and social selling usage, these are the things I usually find about 80-90% of the time within the team. So number one, poor LinkedIn profiles. Most companies that hire me, that is one of their biggest symptoms. Poor, disorganized LinkedIn profiles, missing lots of information, fully focused on the salesperson and how great they are at selling. No uniformity, really difficult to understand what it is they actually sell, what problems they solve, who they help, etc. Just a really poor group of profiles. So I'm going to give you tips on a lot of these things, by the way, in today's session. Number two, not creating good content. So probably one of the worst things that salespeople often do is they just reshare the company's posts. And usually this is because marketing have told them to do so. So I'm not going to blame the salespeople for this. But all you see on their feed is just a blind reshare of the company's blog. It's not good content. It's not getting good engagement. It's not going to be generating opportunities. It's not going to be growing a personal brand. So again, another symptom of poor social selling. Number three, sending terrible salesy LinkedIn messages. I did a blog about this today. I've written a book about it. These are horrendous. And I've seen some of them. And there's one in the blog I shared today. If you go on LinkedIn and have a look at it, there's an example that's shared. It's quite shocking what some salespeople are sending through LinkedIn and how in their head they think it's going to generate a sales opportunity. I don't know. So sending bad messages, again, can be flipped around. Send the right messages. You can fill your pipeline through LinkedIn. So it's all about how you write it, what you say. And again, we'll go through some top tips on that. Not growing their LinkedIn networks. So again, another common symptom is salespeople just not growing their network on a regular basis. Either they only connect with people they think are going to buy from them, or they're just not growing it on a regular basis. So they're stuck there with maybe 500 connections, when in reality they could have 5,000 connections, 15,000, or anywhere up to the limit of 30,000 connections. You don't have to have one or the other. A lot of people say, what about quantity over quality? You don't have to choose. You can have a large quantity of a network of the right quality prospects. LinkedIn is huge now. Tons of fish in the sea to fish from. Second to last, zero personal brand. So no reputation in their industry. They're not engaging enough. They're not creating content consistently enough. No one knows who they are. So when someone posts on LinkedIn saying, I'm looking for a software provider for this, they're not getting tagged in it by someone saying, yeah, I'd really recommend John Smith from this company, because they don't have a personal brand. Finally, they don't know how to use the search functions and filters possibly. There are so many ways you can find your prospects on LinkedIn and connect with them. And again, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know how to use the filters. A lot of people don't know how to use different search tactics to find the right prospects. So again, tons of missed opportunities, but I'm not here to tell you what you're not doing. I'm here to show you what you can do. So today I'm going to focus on 4 key areas. I want to make this nice, simple, and easy, give you some really actionable stuff that you can take away today. I think you guys are going to get a recording of this, so please take notes, but you'll also be able to refer back to this and maybe share it with your teams. 4 things I'm going to cover today. Number 1, updating your LinkedIn profile and making it customer focused. So I'm going to go through some top tips on how you can update your LinkedIn profile and make sure it starts working for you. A good profile done right will generate leads. So I want to show you some of the top things you can do to start bringing your profiles to life. Number 2, how you can grow your network every single day. So some top tips on growing your network, finding the right people, sending effective connection requests, building those numbers up. Apologies, I have a little cough. Number 3, create and share content. I'm going to give you some top tips on creating good content. LinkedIn is a noisy place. There is a lot of bad content on there. Think about it. Chances are when you're scrolling through LinkedIn, you must scroll past tons of posts before you eventually find something you find interesting. Well, guess what? Your prospects are going to be the same. They're scrolling past tons of bad content, looking for things that stand out. So I'm going to try and show you some top tips on how you can create content that's going to grab their attention, bring them in, and again, how you can generate sales from it. Finally, how you can engage in industry relevant content. So it's not just about sharing content, it's about engaging. I want to get your names out there. I want to get you, your sales teams, get your names appearing on LinkedIn feeds several times a day through very minimum time requirements. Putting out a post and engaging in a few posts can take less than 15 minutes when done right. So this isn't about spending hours on LinkedIn, it's about doing the right things. Let's dig into the profile. I refer to the profile as the foundation of social selling success. You could put out a post today and it goes viral. You strike gold, you get lucky, you share something that everyone loves, and you get tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people viewing it and liking it. And what you get from that is tons of people coming to your profile. Oh no, your profile's terrible. And like a bucket full of holes, all those opportunities are just going to wash away. So your profiles need to be the #1 priority when you start trying to use social effectively. So let's go through some top tips on this. Number 1, make sure you've got a good photo. I can't tell you how many times I see bad photos. And I get it. I was there when I first started using LinkedIn. When you set up your profile, chances are you've gone to your Facebook, looked for a photo at a wedding or the last time you were dressed smart, and you've chosen that and put it on. I've seen people with photos that are clearly from a night out down at the pub or out clubbing. Again, they find these bizarre pictures, but often the smartest pictures you have, and they put it on their profile. 7, 8 years ago, maybe just a bit acceptable. Now we have super great cameras on our phones, and chances are you could take a really good headshot from home. Just try and find a nice plain background, get some good lighting, good natural lighting, and you can get a pretty decent headshot from home or from the office. Obviously, at some point, I would definitely recommend getting a professional photographer in. Most offer headshot services, and I would say they're pretty reasonable. One of the things I want you to think about when we dress ourselves as sales professionals or sales leaders to be customer focused, if you were going to go to a customer meeting today, you would make sure you looked the part. You would dress smart, and it would cost a lot to make sure you've got smart clothes. But we never apply that same logic to our digital presence, which for some of you might be the first impression your prospects and customers ever have of you. So the small cost of a headshot is going to be nothing compared to a new suit or a new dress, whatever it is you might need to wear. So professional headshot at some point when things are a little bit easier to do that, I'd highly recommend. But in the meantime, if you're not comfortable or confident in your profile photo, find a nice plain wall, a plain color wall, could be any color, and get someone take a picture or time it. Then it can take a picture, shoulders and above, smiling, looking at the camera, happy days. Good profile photos, probably the first thing they're going to notice when they click on your profile. Number 2 is your banner. So it's the background image that's behind your profile photo, if you can imagine that on your LinkedIn profile. I'd say 45% of people don't have a background image, or what they have is really plain and doesn't actually say anything. Maybe it's just a color or an image, but it doesn't tell you what they do. It's not necessarily always appropriate to what they're selling or the industry they're working in. A small other percentage then have just the company logo. But again, most company logos don't really tell you what the company does. It's just a company name. This is your own personal or company billboard. These profiles can generate tons of views on a daily basis. So what you want that background to do is tell them in a nice, easy, engaging, digestible way what it is you do. What do you offer? So what I'm kind of suggesting is having the logo, the company name, so people know where you work, but then just having a sentence or a few bullet points that highlight what it is you do. So when someone reads it, they see a nice photo, they look at the background, and they start to get an idea of what it is you offer. It's all about planting these seeds in your prospect's mind. As they scroll through, they're starting to get a better understanding of what you do. It almost becomes a pre-qualification checklist. So when they get to the end, hopefully if they tick the boxes, they think, yes, I buy this, or I need this, or I'm looking for this. Yes, all these questions make sense. This person looks good. The company looks good. I'm going to drop them a message. So a good background. I use something called canva.com. www.canva.com, free to use. They've got LinkedIn banner templates, and you can drag and drop logos, change text, really easy to use. But already with those two things, you'll instantly start bringing your profile to life and making a much better first impression than what most profiles do. Very quick tip on this: if you're part of a company, you've got a sales team of a size, I would personally recommend having a level of uniformity. So I'll give you a quick example. Gong do this really well. Gong do the cool listening software, amazing company. If you go on their company page and look through their staff, you will see they have these great uniform profiles. So they have the same banner images, and then they have their profile photos. The background of the photo is the same coloring as the background. So it creates a bit of uniform, looks amazing, does not take away from an individual personal brand, which is what everyone says when I start talking about uniformity. It does not. Your personal brand is built from your content, your engagement, and each profile is individual. So each profile is filled in individually. All it is like wearing branded shirt. You still can stand out on social, but that uniformity looks amazing. That's the smartest way you can make an impression on LinkedIn. Number 3, your LinkedIn summary. So again, most people fill in their LinkedIn profile like a CV. It's built like a CV. Most of us set this up when we're either looking for work early on in our careers. So we often make it about us and we write it like a CV. But again, most summaries in that case are written like a personal statement. So they're usually 1 paragraph long. I've seen some people with just 1 sentence. There is a lot of land that you can write on your LinkedIn summary. First of all, switch it around and make it about your customer, not about you. Your customers and prospects don't want to know how great you are at selling. That's just going to scare them away. They don't want to know how many times you've won President's Club and smashed your targets. They want to know, how can you help them? What can you help them achieve? How have you helped similar people? Who do you help? And how can they get in touch? Make it about them. Take them on a journey. Top tip on this one, break it up. So, and this is the same for content, but having clear spaces between your sentences on your summary and in your content will make a big difference in the amount of people that actually read through. No one likes chunky paragraphs on social media. We're scrolling and we're scrolling fast. Big chunky paragraphs put us off. Spread it out and you're going to actually get people to read as they're scrolling down. So have those clear spaces, make it about your customers, and just highlight who you help, how you help them, what you help them achieve, how you've helped similar people, and how they can get in touch with you. Pop to my profile if you want to see. You'll see the general template that I teach. Nothing too complicated, but have a look. You get an idea of what I mean by updating your summary. Number 4, your recommendations. This is the cherry on top of a LinkedIn profile. We live in a review and recommendation world. I don't buy anything unless I see positive reviews online. And guess what? It's built into your LinkedIn profile. So if you haven't already, make sure getting recommendations is part of your monthly cycle. Every time you close a new sale, ask them for a recommendation. It's not that hard to do. There's a great statistic in the referral world in sales where it's like 91% of customers would be happy to give a referral, yet only 11% of salespeople ask for them. And it's pretty much the same in recommendations. Salespeople aren't asking for them, but chances are most of their customers will be happy to give them. There is going to be no one more trustworthy or effective at selling you and your product than a happy, satisfied customer who's got what they paid for. Because that's what people are worried about. They're worried about being sold something that's not going to deliver what you're promising. So when you've got people telling them, people that they might know or recognize, for companies they might know or recognize, saying, yes, it works, that's going to help massively. So make sure recommendations are a big part of your strategy moving forward. They really are the cherry on top of your profile. A few tips for you guys to get started on moving forward. And to give you a bit of an idea, here's my profile at the moment. Background photo, giving you an idea of the matching color scheme. The headline, the job title bit underneath my name, there are a lot of options with this. Very little differences in results. You can just have your position. You can have the helping people achieve style, or you can have this where it's sort of the bullet point style. Again, I've tried them all over the years. Minimal difference. The real stuff comes from your background and your summary. But some good tips to get you started on there. All right, let's dive into network growth tips. So how can you grow your network? Number 1, I'd recommend adding 5 to 10 new connections a day. I would recommend not adding more than 20 to 30 new connections a day. for a good reason. I've seen a few people recommend adding hundreds a day, but then what happens is very quickly you'll get banned from LinkedIn. It's a temporary ban, and it will only ban you from adding new connections, probably for about 2 to 3 weeks. I've been banned about 7 times across my LinkedIn journey. So it's only temporary, but that's still frustrating. That's still limiting you from what you're doing. Keep it under the radar. When you start adding too many and they're not accepting quickly enough, LinkedIn starts to think you're a spam bot or a third-party software that's mass adding, and that's obviously damaging to their users. So again, keep it under the radar, 5 to 10 minimum and 20 to 30 maximum. Shouldn't cause any problems. Be open-minded with who you connect with. So I mentioned at the start of this, one of the big mistakes is some salespeople only connect with people they think are going to buy from them. It's a big mistake. When you connect with someone on LinkedIn, you're not connecting to one person. You're connecting to their entire network. LinkedIn used to tell you this when you logged in, probably about 8 years ago. You would log in and it would say, you have 558 connections. Your total reach is 167,943. Because it would work out that for each connection you have, you can reach their audience. So whilst that individual connection might never buy from you, there is a much bigger chance there is someone or a few people in their network that may. And any time that that person likes your post, comments on your post, or even better, shares it, their audience sees it. So be a bit more open-minded when connecting on LinkedIn. You've got a 30,000 connection limit. Facebook has 5,000. You've got 30,000 connections that you can have. Be open-minded. Obviously, focus on filling it with quality, but don't be too quick to judge someone and think, no, they're not worth connecting with. Be amazed at how many opportunities you can generate by having people in your network that aren't going to buy from you, but have people that can. Number 3, add prospects within prospects organizations. So again, another trap that salespeople fall into. Maybe they're targeting the VP of marketing or the CMO, so they connect with those, but they don't connect with anyone else in the business. I'd recommend connecting with everyone within your target decision makers team of all parts of the hierarchy, and then spread out through the organization. If you're targeting marketing, make sure you connect with people in the sales department, connect with people in the finance department, connect with people in the operations team, the technical team. They each have the potential to help you when you influence the decision maker. They might provide you insights because they'll all be sharing content. So they may share posts or information that you can use when you're trying to target the decision maker, insights that might be helpful within the sales process. Again, very valuable people to have within your network. And within the department itself, connecting with all those marketing people, they're going to be connected to other marketing people and other marketing leaders. So again, it's just opening your mind to thinking on the bigger picture of your LinkedIn network. Final tip, customize when necessary. I've seen quite a few people say that you have to customize and personalize every single connection request. Trust me, you don't. I'd say maybe 75% of my network was gained without a personalized message request. Most people are happy to accept it without. And in fact, most of the personalized connection requests that I get are personalized with a terrible sales pitch. So if anything, it scares me away, not increases the chance that I'm going to accept it. Again, personalize when necessary. So what I've found from experience is the higher up the hierarchy you're going, so the more senior the person you're trying to connect with, that's when a personalized connection request message helps. But make sure it's not personalized with a sales pitch. Keep it light. Even just something like, "Hi Andy, would love to connect. Kind regards, Dan." Something simple that doesn't go in trying to sell anything or jump in the deep end, but at least you're showing that you're not just trying to add anyone, that you want to add them as an individual. There's a few other variations about that, but key is only customize when necessary. It takes time. If you're adding 30 people a day and customizing each one, you're going to double the amount of time it takes. Just customize when necessary. Higher up, or the smaller the network or the less active they are, the more beneficial customization can be. All right, content. So hopefully you're going to have better profiles and you're growing your network on a regular basis. Already you're going to start seeing results from that. Content is where you take it to the next level. And I mean, KD will testify for this. His content is insane. Fantastic content, and it's helped him achieve tons of great stuff. So content is key, but again, it's not easy. Now, my background's sales. My background's traditional sales. I was brought up in sales, knocking on doors and making cold calls. When I first thought about putting a post out on LinkedIn, I was scared. I had no idea what to do. So I sympathize with anyone in sales who's never posted on social media before, how scary it is when you first do it. But guess what? Making my first cold call was scary. Knocking on my first door was scary. Everything's scary when you first do it. So here's some top tips. Number one, give value in your content. Salespeople go into autopilot when they're using social media and creating content. They just start talking about their product because they've got this salesperson autopilot switched on, and that's what they think they have to do. Scrap that. Give value. Share your stories, share your thoughts, share your insights. One of the biggest tips I gave at the beginning of lockdown was take a picture and share your home office working space, because everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's curious and nosy. What equipment do you have? What space have you created? Posts like that were doing really good, still are doing really good. Find stories that you can share that are valuable to your audience. Not about your product, not about your service, but about your customers, about your industry. Share some tips, share some insights. Grab thoughts from thought leaders or experts and share them. Valuable to your audience. I'd recommend the 80-20 split. Right now, most people, 80% of the content they share is not valuable to their audience. Resharing your company's blog is not valuable to your audience. Flip that around. If 80% of your content is valuable, you're going to achieve so many more results. So make it valuable. Number two, have those spaces. Said it with the summary. Have those spaces. When people send me sort of templates of posts that they're looking to share, most of the time, the first thing I'll tell them is stretch that post out and just add a few more spaces. Drives so much more engagement. So have those spaces. Number three, share your stories, your tips, your knowledge, your experience, your thoughts. Just share you. People just want to know what you're doing. They want to know your thoughts, your experiences. That's what a personal brand is. People buy from people. So be a human being and share that. That's how you get that buy-in. That's how you build trust. That's how you build relationships. Finally, find ways to be creative. I'll give you one example. I'm recording a sort of mini video, sort of podcasty type series with two people from two different companies this Friday, but we're going to record it from beds, and they call it breakfast in bed, and they're sat in their bed. I'm going to be sat in my bed. That's creative. That stands out. No one's doing that. So try and find ways that you can be different. Maybe it's recording a video while you're out for your leisurely walk. Maybe you're walking your dog and the dog could become part of the video. There are so many little ways you can be creative in these things. Find ways that you can do stuff that's unique to you and can help you build a unique personal brand. Right, let's get this finished off because I don't want to take up any of KD's epic time. A few examples of posts here for you guys, just to give you some ideas. Again, spacing. Top 2 to 3 lines are all that's visible when you post a written post on LinkedIn. So make sure they stand out. So like this one, you don't need to sell ice to an Eskimo. Instantly going to stand out with salespeople. Nice and bold. Take them through the story. Again, similar style. Look at those breaks in the sentences. Makes it a lot easier to read. Photos, again, take engaging photos. The orange chocolate bar was sharing a story of a gift that someone sent to me and how someone could use that for sales. You could do book reviews and take a picture of you holding a book. Again, by taking pictures of you, you get your face out there. People get to know you. That's how you build that personal brand. Memes. I think KD's got a few memes in his slides today, and we were chatting about this on his podcast last week. Some people will know I'm quite fond of a meme. I think I've created about 1,000 sales memes over the last few years. Memes are brilliant. If you were to share a meme every day, people won't take you seriously. Obviously, on the daily sales, it's fine because that's part of the brand. But if I did it every day, people wouldn't take me seriously. But by putting one out once or twice a month, it breaks down some of those barriers. It shows you as a human. It helps them connect. They're engaging. They're funny. Make industry relevant memes. Really, really easy to do. They create great content. All right, finally, engagement tips. And we're not just creating content. We want to engage. Like and comment on 3 to 4 posts each day. So imagine this on a daily basis. You put out one post, great, people are seeing your name. Suddenly, you're commenting on 3 or 4 posts. So every day, your name's appearing, building your personal brand. Some comments on posts get more likes than the post gets because people are reading those comments. And it's your chance to share your thoughts on the subject. Maybe share a funny story, share an insight or a tip or a statistic. share your input. But again, they become valuable, just as valuable as the post itself. Find good posts to engage on. So don't be very picky in the posts you engage on. If you're posting on content that's not getting much engagement, you're not going to be seen by many people. So try and find the good posts in your industry, the people that are posting good posts, and get your name in that. And be creative when writing comments. Again, comments are a great opportunity to share your thoughts and again, drive people to you. People will see those comments, they'll like it, you'll get likes on your comments, you'll get replies. Again, your name getting out there, and people will come and connect to you from that. Again, business opportunities. So to summarize, 4 easy steps to get started on social today. Update your LinkedIn profiles, tons of potential there. Grow your networks every single day. Create and share content regularly. I'd recommend Monday to Friday every day, but to start with, if you're a bit nervous, 2 to 3 times a week is a good starting point, but I recommend building up to once a day, and I'd certainly say no more than once a day. It has a way more negative effect. And then finally, engage in your industry. Do these 4 things, you will instantly start to see big results. Do them consistently. You'd be amazed at what you will see after month 1, month 2, month 3. I've seen people build huge personal brands in just the space of a couple of months just by doing these basic steps. So I hope that helps. Obviously, if you have any questions, we'll do the Q&A at the end, but I'll pass over to KD now to blow you away with some great calling and email insights as well.
You're on mute there, KD, mate. There we go.
Okay, you got me? All right, y'all. Let's rock. So Dan, gold as always. Everyone listening, follow what that man says, okay? Because also too, what he talks about isn't actually that hard. The difference will be how many of you actually go do it or not. That's all that's really going to stand out. I think that what the stat is, 20% will actually do it. Only 10% will stick with it for more than a month, and less than 6% will do it ongoing. Be part of that 6%. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. Building a brand has changed my life. Bar none. It's been one of the best investments I've ever made in my entire life. And it has carried me now through my career. So start now. But do keep this in mind. My first post got 1 like. My first article that I wrote, like I spent weeks writing this article, 2 likes. All right. Just start. And then it starts to build from there, y'all. So now, okay. You followed all of Dan's advice. You've been building up your social network, but eventually you're going to have to either get someone on the phone, right? Or you have to use the other channels, right? Of you want to do social and calling and emailing and direct mail and face-to-face, whatever you can do to prospect. So we're going to go into the cold calls and the cold emails here. All right. So I'm going to start with the scripts, right? And I know people hear the word script. They go, ooh, scripts don't work. Scripts make me sound robotic. Scripts don't let me have a free conversation. Okay, so no, none of that is true. All right, let's cut that out real quick. Scripts don't sound anything. You sound robotic. It's not the script. All right. I'd be willing to bet of the 461 people on right now, every single one of you has watched a movie before. Every single one of you has listened to a song before. You know what all of those use? A script. And guess what? It works. Right? The script is not the problem. More often than not, it is the actor. It is on us. It is on us to bring the script alive. So before you freak out and see the word script, that's not the case. We have to make it come alive. So now these are the elements, though. There are a lot of bad scripts out there. I will say that. There are a lot of bad scripts. This is what needs to go into a cold calling script for the most success you can get. First is tonality, which we're going to dive into. Next is using science. This is so underutilized. You know they're studying this, right? Like, they're actually studying how different words affect people's minds, right? There is science to this thing called sales. Everyone loves to think of it as a black art. It's not a black art. There is science that you can apply artfully. I've never said that before. That was nice. Write that shit down. All right. So after science and input, then you've got gap questions, which we're going to break down, benefit check-ins, if then fill in the blanks, and then practice, right? This is what goes into a script. And if you're not doing these things, you're leaving money on the table. Okay, so let's get into this right away, because this is going to affect everything you do, whether it's a cold call, whether it's a cold email, or even social selling. Problem over product. I will say this again, problem over product. So much of the prospecting messaging going out, and I would challenge all of you to go look at your emails, go look at your scripts. They talk about the product. Guess what your prospect isn't interested in? Your product. They're not interested in your product, right? And so if you're out there just throwing your product in front of everybody, well, no wonder no one gets back to you. What you need to talk about are the problems your product solves. This is the key, okay? If you can bring up the problems that your persona deals with, if you can bring up the problems in their day-to-day, if you can bring up problems that you know their industry faces, that's how you start to break through the noise. I saw a few of the questions, right? Of like, well, how do you break through, or how do you get in front of a CEO, or how do you prospect during COVID? Okay. This is how, because if you know the new problems that your prospect is facing under COVID, you can change your messaging accordingly. The reason why people were getting blasted is because they were taking the same messaging when their prospects had new problems, right? I'll use us even as an example at Patient Pop. One of the problems we used to solve, right, was you aren't seeing enough patients. Well, COVID came. Now you can't see any patients. That's a different problem, and we were able to change our messaging, right? So what you want to ask yourself, right? We don't have time to do the exercise, but normally I would take you through this. What are the top problems that your prospects have that you solve? Okay. What are the problems? Easiest formula to do this: take the benefits of what your product does and reverse them. Take the benefits of what your product does and reverse it. Those are the problems, right? So if I'm talking about like Daniel Disney selling social selling, right? He's not just going to go, oh, social selling is going to make you more, going to make you more. It's, you know how a lot of people haven't really made social selling work, or they put a lot of time in and they don't get results, or you getting connection requests and no one's accepting. Which one is going to improve the results more? It's going to be talking about the problems your prospect is facing, right? Something to keep in mind about human beings: we are not very future-based creatures. I don't think you need a lot of evidence to understand that, right? We don't make a lot of decisions properly for the future. We make decisions for the now. So talk about what's happening with your prospect now. That's how you start to break through the noise, okay? So then this is the next section. Right? Marketing tends to be a little bit worse than this at sales, but sales does it too. What would your customer say? What would your customer say? Okay. If I call it the long day after work test, if you can't picture your prospect getting done with a long day of work, sitting down, pouring a drink, taking a deep breath and going, oh, God, I wish I had a. Okay. Do you think they've ever sat down like, God, I wish I had an industry-breaking, groundbreaking, disruptive product that's going to 5x my pipeline with a... They don't talk like that, okay? Again, I'll use myself as an example, right? When I first started at Patient Pop, we were a practice growth platform. Do you think a lot of doctors sat down after a 14-hour day, poured that glass of scotch, took a deep breath and said, God, I wish I had a practice growth platform? No, they don't talk like that, right? So you need to find out how your prospects talk about the problems you solve. You need to find out how your prospects describe your product. So this is what I recommend every sales org and sales team do. You need to go and interview 30, 40, 50 customers and ask them these questions. First one, how would you describe our product? How would you describe our product? What do you tell your friends our product does? Second question, why did you buy? Salespeople, I'm going to be honest with y'all. Most of y'all don't know why people actually bought your product. You think you know, but you don't know why they actually bought your product. You need to find out. Why did they buy? What problems were you hoping they'd solve? Notice we already talked about problems. Do you know what problems they were hoping to solve? What's gotten better since? Now you're building testimonials and case studies. This next one is gold. What were you nervous about? What were you afraid of before buying? This is where you get the unsaid objections. Quick tip, salespeople, I don't tell you all my objections. I don't tell you everything I'm afraid of. You're the salesperson. I know what your job is. I know what you're going to try to do. This is where you found out what the unsaid objections are. You can put that into your messaging, right? And then this last one, what almost prevented you from buying? If we stopped the presentation right now, but you just went and did this with 50 customers, I promise you, your cold calling, your cold emailing, and your social game would improve significantly. Take a screenshot, ask these questions, because then it's going to roll over into your scripting. Also, by the way, do you think you might be more confident after you've spoken to 50 customers? You realize salespeople don't talk to customers, right? And how comical that is. All we do is talk to prospects. We hardly ever talk to customers. The customers are already giving us money. We should probably learn from them. So what would your customer say? This is also how you start to build significantly better cold emailing and cold calling scripting. So now let's shift over to here. Okay, we're going to make that call, right? You've gotten over the shaky hand fear. You've gotten over it, right? You're like, oh my God, okay, here we go. Here we go. I'm going to make this phone call. We got to master our tonality. This is the missing sauce in most scripts, because we either come in two ways. Normally it's three. Either we sound super nervous, we're very monotone, or we're like over the top Billy Mays 5 cups of caffeine enthusiastic, right? Quick idea here. Who's the only stranger that calls you and is excited to talk to you on the phone? It's a salesperson, right? My phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize. I pick it up and it's, hey, how's it going today, man? It's Bob over at Super Biz Prospecting. How you doing? Damn it. Here we go, right? It's too enthusiastic, right? But that's what we preach to everybody is, hey, like energy, energy, energy. That's not always the case. A calm, confident tonality tends to trump a very high energy tone. So we're actually going to break down some tones here. We are going to do this because I put tones into my script, right? You want to talk about scripting? There are literally in the script, it says what tone you're supposed to use. And we practice the tone just as much as we practice the language. Because if I can get you to read the tone right, the script comes alive. I could read these comments in any sort of emotion I wanted to right now. Adam just commented, I can make this sad. I've done years as an SDR and years as an account manager, and they each get 50% customer story. I could read Dan's comment. You know, honestly, indeed, Jelly, lots of requests. You can turn any written word into the right emotion, but that's on us to be able to do. So here are some of the tones that are built into our script. First tone, lost in the city. This is gold for prospecting. Gold. Okay. When you're calling in, you want to sound lost. You want to sound like you need help. Hey, Dan, this is Kevin over at SuperBiz. You know, I just was reading one of your posts, and I was hoping you could help me out real quick. Do you got a sec? That tone right there, what that does, right? It's called tonal congruence, by the way. You sound like you need help. You know what most human beings like to do? Help other people. And when you're prospecting, your goal is to create curiosity, not interest. Your goal is to create curiosity. Does that opening line create curiosity? Hey, Dan, I was just reading one of your posts, and man, I was hoping you could help me out real quick. Do you got a sec? What do they want to know? Sure. What is this? Right? You open up the conversation by building curiosity. So we call it the lost in the city tone, right? If you were lost in a city, how would you ask for help? If you want to test this out, once COVID's done, go up to 10 strangers on the street. Ask 5 of them, hey, I'm lost. Could you help me real quick? And see how many say yes. Or go to the other ones, go, hey, I was hoping you could help me out real quick. Do you got a sec? Which tone do you think is going to get more people to engage with you? I can tell you that second one's going to get the cops called more often than not. All right. So tone first, lost in the city. Second, thinking out loud. Okay, this is something that pulls people in. We call it the thinking out loud tone. When you're trying to like put things together, you go, you know what, Dan, this might make sense, man. Like you do a lot of social selling and you seem to be getting pretty good results, but the emails could probably improve a little bit. Like we might be onto something here. Like, could we set something up? It's like you're just kind of piecing it all together, right? Versus what are salespeople told to do? They're told to say, Dan, this is going to change your life. This is going to be the greatest tool you've ever used. All of y'all can feel what that does to your chest. Even hearing that, you're like, oh, right? Thinking out loud, you just piece it together. The Scooby-Doo tone, right? The Scooby-Doo tone is something we talk about right before the meeting. Anyone that watched Scooby-Doo, just saw someone say how creepy I sound. Anyone that's watched Scooby-Doo, this is how I love to set up the meeting, because honestly, most salespeople don't ask for the meeting when they're prospecting. That's the first problem, but you don't even sound excited about it. So, yeah, I was hoping maybe we could get 30 minutes with my director next week to walk you through this. Do you have time on Friday? Well, that sounds exciting. Like, no, the Scooby-Doo, if anyone watched this, right, how it always went is always the end of the episode. It's the same thing. It'd be like, well, wait a minute. If Mr. McGregor was in the cemetery and Stevie Smith was in the church, well, then the only possible person that could be the mummy, right? And then they do the unmask, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's the mayor, right? It's the same thing when you're going for that meeting. You build up the emotion and escalation. Right. If it weren't for those meddling kids, right? You're going, well, you know what, Dan, this might make sense. Like, you do the social selling, you're doing this, but you're not able to do this. I mean, we fix that. Like, we could fix that for you. Like, could we set up a time? You build up the excitement to the meeting. Again, you're trying to pull people in, right? The next one, pizza dough. Y'all weren't ready for all these tones today. You guys weren't ready. I'm already seeing these comments and shit. Okay. Pizza dough. It's what you do with your hands. This is why we call it pizza dough. I don't know if you guys can see my hands here real quick, right? It's like, so Dan, how are you handling the emails you do right now, right? Like, how are you doing? It's to do it with that sort of tonality, because most people, when they do their like discovery questions, it's almost like an interrogation, right? So Andy, how are you handling your lead flow right now? Like, Jesus, like, whoa. Right. Okay. Right. Like, it's too interrogative. Pizza dough, the thank God tone. This is for objections, especially when someone says, we already have somebody. We already use someone. We're happy with someone. How do most salespeople sound? They fold, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry. We go the other way. Oh, thank God. Thank God you're using something. Like, do you know how many people aren't even doing anything with social selling right now? Like, at least you're using something. You go, thank God, right? It brings you back out. Broken heart. This is one of my favorites. Okay. I mean this. If someone is ever truly being mean to you on the phone, you fold, and you fold hard. I mean this. You fold, and you fold hard. Someone's like, what the hell? How dare you call me? Never call me again. Da-da-da-da-da. You go, oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't have called you. Like, honestly, I just wanted to help. That was all I was really trying to do. But you're right. I shouldn't have called you. I'm so bad. Like, I'll just send you an email. Is your email bob@superbiz.com? Like, I'm sorry. You guys will be shocked. You will be shocked how many people will go, wait, I'm sorry. What is this call about? Because no one wants to feel bad. No one wants to feel bad, but you do it. Okay. Last one I'm going to give you, strategic downtones, and then we'll move into actual scripting. I got screenshots and stuff. We're going to go into it. Salespeople, stop confirming people that what they're doing is good, great, and okay. Okay. So when you're asking discovery questions, you know, a lot of people do, right? Hey, so Dan, how are you doing cold emails right now? And you go, oh, I do it manually. And they go, okay, good. Hey, Andy, how are you handling like your lead flow right now? Oh, I got to put it in a spreadsheet. Awesome. Okay, sweet. Great. Okay, good. All we're doing is we are confirming the status quo is good. That's the complete opposite of what we're trying to do. This is subconscious, by the way. You're saying good. What are they hearing? Good. Strategic downtones. Hey, Dan, how are you doing cold emails right now? Honestly, I'm writing them all manually. Ooh. Yeesh. Manual. Ouch. Whew. I had one rep she called the bacon and eggs, the sizzle. Right? Like this here, because what was the goal of prospecting? I told you all this. If you were paying attention, it's to create curiosity. If I walk out the door right now, I'm going out to dinner with my wife. My wife says, ooh, you're wearing that? Damn it. Right? Why? Why did you ask that? Okay, that's what we're going for here, right? We're trying to unsell the status quo. So I hope y'all like these tones, because this is what we teach. This is built into the scripts, right? Uh-oh, is my screen not moving? Would you look at this? Oh, some scripting, right? Scripting. What does it say right here in the beginning? Lost in the city / I need help. It is built into the script as a reminder. Hey, Dan, this is Kevin from Service Titan. And you come up. You know, I was just on your website. I was hoping you could help me out real quick. Do you got a sec? That opening line is going to get you through so much more. Then we go permission-based. So I'm a permission-based salesperson. I'm not going to bulldog people. I'm not going to push people. Notice how soft this is. You know, I was thinking of sending over some info, since we already work with a couple people in your area or a couple people in your industry, you know, and a lot around the country. But look, I don't want to waste your time or the owner's time if it doesn't make sense. Like, I was hoping if I could ask you just a couple quick questions, see if it'd be even worth sending info over. Would that be okay? Y'all, listen to that. Okay. I'm getting permission to ask my questions. Okay. I'm putting in social proof. I'm getting permission, and I'm using what's called a layered question. Just so y'all want some extra psychology here. I was hoping you could help me out real quick. Do you got a sec? That's called a layered question. By saying yes to you got a sec, what else are they saying yes to? Helping you out. Okay. Now they've agreed. Now we've got law of consistency on our hands. They said they would help you. So now when you go to the second question of say, hey, I just want to ask you some questions because I was thinking of sending over some information. Not I was trying to book a demo. Not I was trying to sell you my product. Just like, hey, like, just thinking of sending something over. Didn't want to do it if it didn't make sense. Like, could I ask you a few quick questions, see if it's even worth it? Yeah, sure, go for it. Now I'm in. And now I get to ask my gap questions, okay? Which comes to here. All right, now you're in. Cool, you're in. They say, sure, go for it. Do not start with your qualifying questions. And I'm sorry if I just pissed off a bunch of sales leaders on here, but do not start with qualifying questions, because you have maybe 2 to 3 questions before the person's going to rush you off the phone. And if your first question to me is, how big is your team? Do you have budget established for a purchase in the industry that we're looking for? Who else is involved in your decision? Gone. I'm gone. You need to have a gap question built so you can keep the curiosity building and bring the problems to the forefront, right? So here's how you ask a gap question. How are you blank to make sure blank isn't happening right now? Okay, I could do this for Dan Disney right now if he's selling social selling. So, you know, how are you making sure your team has a uniform profile so that your customers have the same experience no matter who they interact with right now, so they don't get confused? That'll be $5,000, Daniel Disney. Okay, but okay, what that's going to do, right? You just exposed a problem, because if you know your industry well, Dan already knows most people do not have a uniformed way of having their team have their profiles built. He already knows that. So by leading with that, so it's like, hey, how are you handling this right now so that blank doesn't happen? More often than not, they're gonna be like, well, shoot, like, yeah, we don't really do that. And then you know what you do next? You go to the next question. You don't sell again right away. It's like, yeah, actually, I guess we don't really do that. Yeah, I know a lot of people struggle with that. Okay, well, then I guess the other question I'd ask then is, well, like, how are you giving your team the right kind of content to actually get engagement? So it's not just boring, bland, fluff stuff out there. Like, how are you helping them put the right sort of content out there right now? That'll be another $5,000. And they go, oh, well, shoot. Yeah, I guess we don't really do that either. I think this might make sense. You've got a big team. You believe in social selling, but you don't really have a way to streamline it. Your reps are inconsistent. There's not a lot of messaging, which means you're probably losing out on some pipeline. That's what I do. I help companies blank, blank, and blank to allow you to blank. Can we set up a call real quick with, myself, one of my directors, so I can show you how we fix this, and fix this? Notice this isn't about anything other than fixing. Well, I want to show you how we fix this. I want to show you how we fix these problems. not show you 30 minutes of my product. I hope y'all are following. I know I'm going fast, but like, I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down here right now, because it all fits together. We haven't even gotten to the emails yet. Let's go. Oh, look at that. So now we get to emails. All right, I'm going to give you a quick masterclass in emails, 101, 201, and 301. 101, stop sounding like a damn salesperson. Read your own emails like you were a prospect. I bet you it changes, right? I bet you it changes how you write your emails. Stop writing like a salesperson. Hey, KD, I see you're a VP of sales. We have a groundbreaking, innovative, disruptive tool that's going to 5x your pipeline, just like it did for Apple and Google. Do you have 30 minutes to talk? Come on, y'all. We can be better than that. Next part, think text messages. Dan mentioned this too, like messaging. I probably don't have one on my phone right now, but how do y'all feel when you get a text message that takes up the whole screen? Right? Like, do you get pumped to read that? I like never, right? Think text message. You're trying to have a conversation here. The first sentence trumps the subject line. I'm going to say this again. The first sentence trumps the subject line when it comes to open rates. You know why? Because you can read the first 160 characters now. Go test yourself real quick. Go into Gmail, go into your phone, and watch where your eyes actually go. They go sender, sentence, subject. Sender, who's it from? Sentence, what's it start to say? Then subject. I love to put either my name or my company name in the subject line, because even if you delete it, what have you now heard of? You've heard of my company, right? Even if you didn't open, now Patient Pop is in your head. So when you see another one and another one and another one, then I'm building that awareness. That first sentence, this is how you get the opens. This is where you build curiosity. So if that first sentence is, hi, Dan, I'm the new regional director in your area, and I was hoping to get 30. Delete. Hi, Dan, I looked at 30 of your team's profiles on LinkedIn, and I saw a lot of inconsistencies between them. Do you think that would get me to open up that email? That first sentence, right? That first sentence is how you get the open, okay? Small digestible sentences, tell a story, bring some emotion into this, have some fun with it. I got some examples at the end, and then one call to action. Tell me what to do. They've studied this, by the way. Telling me to respond versus asking me to respond. Telling me to respond increases the response rate. Respond back to this email and let me know. Tell me when you're available. Read this article. Click this link. One call to action. Email 101. 201. Images and videos. Images and videos. I think it's close to 30% of our brain is dedicated to vision. Right? These little things right here occupy so much of our brain. If you can show people how you do it. So again, if I'm Dan, man, I'm just breaking down Dan's shit right now. This is fun. Okay. If I sent an email that had his profile next to one of my reps' profiles and said, which one of these do you think would drive more engagement? Now I can see it. I can actually see the difference between, right? So David, I see it like the problem with deliverability. It's generally okay when it's one-off. It's when you're mass blasting emails with images, but you do have to test all this like for your org, but you find places to put images in or a link to an image, right? If you're not getting through with the image, put a link to the image, and then the call to action is click this link. I put two profiles next to each other. Okay. Cliffhangers and Curiosity Builders, right? Can you build curiosity? What they should do versus what you should do. Problem-based language, which we talked about. This is one that I know is going to throw people. There's no such thing as long or short when it comes to email. Actually, anything in life. There's interesting or uninteresting. There's not long or short. There's interesting or uninteresting. If you sent me a text that said, hey, KD, I'd love to talk to you about the latest episode of The Bachelor. That is already too long. Just even getting that text message is too long. I don't want to talk about The Bachelor. Hey, KD, a new study came out that was involving priming words and how certain words can cause certain behaviors in people. Do you want to chat about it? we better block the whole day because we can spend as much time on that as possible. Long and short isn't a thing. Interesting or uninteresting. Emails and cadences should look like mountain ranges. Short, long, like it should be mountain range style. That's how you make it readable. This is one of my favorite short ones. Hey, do you struggle with X? If not, just let me know. Hey, do you struggle getting engagement on your social posts? If not, let me know. I'll stop reaching out. Right? If they don't struggle with the problem you have, there's nothing for you to solve. Now we get to 301. Priming words. Use words like open, flexible, curious, awareness. Things that make people open, curious, awareness, flexible, right? They've actually studied this by using priming words. By what you want people to do, they actually start to do it. I was hoping you'd be open to I went too far. Put my elbow on the keyboard, right?
You've just muted yourself, KD.
How did I mute myself with my elbow? That's a whole new one.
Congratulations. The first one ever, I believe.
First one. Okay. If I said in that first sentence, I was hoping you'd be open to exploring something I found on. Open, exploring, found. All in that first sentence. You know that primes them for? Opening an email, exploring what's in it, and finding new information. And by the way, this is not me coming up with this shit. This is things that they have already broken down and studied using priming words. This is why we're in the 301. Specific call to action. It's not always about a response. I have emails that are 100% designed just to get a click. Can I get you to the website? Can I get you to a blog post? Can I get you somewhere else? Because if I can get you to engage, you're more likely to take my call. If I know you clicked on something, you're more likely to take my call. Now, I know the data rules are different in the US versus like the UK, but also too, if I can get you to my website and they accept that cookie link, now my ads follow you everywhere, right? So now you see me on LinkedIn, you see me in your email, you see me in your phone box, and you're seeing me while you're scrolling Instagram and Facebook. I am everywhere. That's how you build prospecting awareness, which is the whole goal. Curiosity and awareness. Man, I've been seeing this. And by the way, this is what happens when people start, who is this Daniel Disney guy? And they don't even know why they're Googling him. Geez, maybe because they've seen his name 5 different places. And now they start to go, well, what is this social selling thing? I don't know. Who do they find when they look up social selling, right? Be everywhere. Okay. Pay attention to B2C marketers. They tend to be way ahead of B2B marketers. Pay attention to B2C. How do they write emails? How do they do ads? How do they write copy? Miles ahead of B2B. Okay. So I'll break this down super fast. I know we're already on time. That's because Dan went too long. It wasn't me. This is another formula that you can put in here. KD, FIC. And the KD is actually truly on accident. I didn't try to do this. But if you're trying to do like an email formula, no. Here's what I know about you, your team, your persona, your industry. Did or doing. Here's what I did because I know you are a VP, or because I know you are in sales, or because I know. Here's what I found. Here's the impact of what I found. Here's what you should do about it. Right? Hey, KD, I know you run a large sales team. And because of that, I took a look at, 30 of your team's profiles. Here's what I found. They're pretty inconsistent, and it doesn't look like they're all calling customers in at the level you'd probably want them to, which means you're probably missing out on some, pipeline you could build off of social selling. Read this article on how to actually get your team to have a unified profile. Let me know if you find it interesting. That short, sweet, strong, no did found impact call to action. Okay. Quick bonus, videos. Videos go a long way because now you get to combine 2 things: the scalability of email, the tonality of phone, with face-to-face who you are, right? It brings it all together there, right? You can convey the tone. And this is something we made a big shift in during COVID because everyone was been pretty emotionally charged during COVID. A lot of emotions, a lot of fear. Well, that means they can read your email in the wrong tone, right? They can read it in the wrong tone. Right. So Madison just said, awesome. Thank you for the recording. So many good takeaways. If I'm stressed and I'm worried, you know how I read that? Awesome. Thank you for the recording. So many good takeaways. I could take it and just make it completely negative. But if that were a video, you control the tone. right? Now, here's a big tip, though. If you're sending video, you need to sell me on why to watch it. Video was a cool new thing 3 years ago. Oh, someone sent me a video? Let me watch this. It's not new anymore. Why should I watch it? What's in there, right? Like, you also got to understand it's kind of creepy. Just remember this, okay? Hey, I made you a video. About what? Right? Like, what's in that video? Just because you're holding a little whiteboard doesn't mean I'm going to watch your 90-second video. Okay. Sell me on why I should. Hey, KD, I take you through a live breakdown of your social profile, showing you where I think some improvements could be made. Maybe get you a few more views. Oh, well, now I'll open that email. All right. So sell me on why to watch the video. Okay, fill in the blank personalization. This is just a mini rant here. If your reps aren't personalizing emails, you don't need them. It's that simple. If it were that easy that you could just send out templated emails and book appointments, you don't need SDRs. You don't need to prospect. You can just load it all into Marketo. Okay, look at this email here. I have right in there, insert what you found. Insert the education snippet, right? So we have snippets in our like SalesLoft software of like, here's a good education on this or a good education on this, but it's fill in the blank. I can write the template, but then here's where you put in the bad thing you found, and here's the snippet that you go into it, and here's where you put your social proof. Your templates need to have fill in the blank, not what's it called? Dynamic tags, right? Where it's just like, hey, Kevin, I saw you work for Patient Pop and you are a VP. That's not personalization. That's customization. Personalization means you could only send it to that person. That's
personalization tokens, I think, is what you're looking for. Those tokens that, yeah, I know what you mean.
That's not personalization. That's just my name, right? So these are what some snippets look like, right? Of like, here's testimonial snippets, here's education snippets. I have this broken down by industry and persona, right? If I'm going to a surgeon, here's the snippet for that. If I'm going after OB-GYN, here's the snippet for that. Here's the testimonials that talk about the things that we want them to talk about, right? This is how you do customization and personalization at scale. So last thing I'll end on here, let's have some fun, y'all. Let's have some fun, right? I hope this was fun and valuable, but I guarantee there's a reason why I try to make this fun too. You're more likely to remember it. You'll remember this because it was fun, not because it was educational. And because you remember it, that's what then allows you to apply it and come back to it. That's why we try to have fun with these things. Prospecting is the same way. Dan and I just talked about this on a podcast. Go on Google and search your persona. Search, like, say you're coming after me. VP of Sales memes. VP of Sales gifts. Funny VP of Sales coffee mug. Funny VP of Sales shirt. VP of Sales jokes. What do VPs of Sales hate? What's the worst part of being a VP of Sales? Now you're going to find out what matters to me, your persona, and now you can put it into your prospecting emails. Now you can make posts about this, right? What do you think I'm more likely to engage with? Here's 5 tips on how to double your pipeline. Screw you. You don't know my pipeline. You can't double it. Here are the 5 things all VPs of sales hate. Number 3 had me cracking up. Clickbait still works, y'all, if you do it the right way. Okay. I'm probably going to read that and go, yeah, that's true. I do hate number 3. That does suck. Okay. Now I've seen your name with something funny, right? So go do this. Have some fun, y'all. So here's a couple of email examples with humor. Right? So going after the plumbing industry, you know, a lot of plumbers hate handyman and duct tape because handymans say they can do the same thing as plumbers for half the cost. So look what I have here. Is your software a duct tape software? I'm pulling in duct tape into a cold email, y'all. Get on my level. Okay. Second one, doctors, don't confuse your Google search with my medical degree. Do I think that's funny? Yeah. Little bit of a chuckle. Do doctors think it's funny? They do, because they know, because all y'all Google it on WebMD and you find out that you've got like a toe growth. And sure enough, that must be a near-death sentence, right? And you come in and tell the doctor what you know. Okay. Doctors think this is funny. So it works for them. And I put it into my messaging. Okay. So with that, we made it. Boom.
Guys, that was absolutely amazing. To be honest, it's a testament to the content that we've run over, and there's still so many people on. So both of you guys, I've personally learned a huge amount from hearing both of you speak. KD, one thing that will always stick out to me is the tone piece. I've never seen that spoken about in that particular way before, or actually really have that focus on the tone. That was something that really, really stood out to me from what you were talking about there. Dan, I've learned lots of tips from you as well. Like, I didn't realize before that you get a maximum of 30K connections on LinkedIn. I'm far from there, but these are little things that I did not know about, you know. I didn't know that they pause you for adding too many in a day if you go over 20 connections in a day. Like, little things like that have been so helpful for me personally. And I think based on the stuff that's been going on in the chat, I guess it's been very interesting to everybody on the call as well. So look, we still have nearly 350 people on, and there's a couple of questions. I think we'll just do one or two, and then we'll call it a day. But what I will do is, though, I'll share our LinkedIn with everybody. So if people do want to reach out directly afterwards, the LinkedIns are there. Please feel free at least to reach out to me. The guys have just shared LinkedIn as well. I'm sure the guys are pretty bombarded with questions anyway. But if there are things that you want answered, I'm sure the guys will be happy to answer via LinkedIn. But one question that did come up, and Dan, maybe you're the right person to answer this one. In terms of a message for including for requesting contact connection on LinkedIn, you did cover this slightly, but I'm just wondering, like, what is the best way, or what's the best message to have in there?
One of the best message templates you can use when sending a connection request, if possible, is to reference a piece of content. Now, I think me and KD spoke about this on his podcast, but the key to this is be authentic. You can't just generically send out, hey, I loved your post last week. That's not enough. You have to reference, hey, KD, loved your post about tone and cold calling last week. You know, the Scooby-Doo one really reached out to me. Hyper personalize it, really show your homework. But if you can reference content, it just works so much better than most other forms. Obviously, not all your prospects are going to be sharing content that will apply to a certain pool of them. But again, if you can, great. If it's not them sharing it, maybe look at their company's content, or maybe someone else within their organization that shared a bit of content, something that they should be able to connect with. But ideally, if they've shared a post within the last few days, even the last week or so, and you can reference it, great way to get your foot in the door, bit of flattery as well, sort of stroke their ego by complimenting their post, and then show that you've made an effort and what it was that stood out to you. Great conversation start.
Thanks for that, Dan. And one for you, KD. Considering the current situation, what's the best approach to reach a prospect? How's your team doing it?
So honestly, a lot of it's what I just walked through. It's just changing the messaging with the new problem, right? And also, too, it is addressing the emotional side of things, right? So if you just approach your prospect like nothing has changed, now that doesn't mean send a, hey, like, how's this new normal affecting you? Like, we wrote emails and our scripting was like, yo, like, we know it's really tough and stressful right now. Like, we know it. Like, back to that no did impact, like, dude, we know you're having a hard time seeing patients, which we also know is incredibly stressful, probably very frightening. Like, we're sorry that that's the case. Here's what we're doing to try to help, right? Like, we rolled out a telehealth product. It'll allow you to see patients that you can't see right now. Like, if you're too, and this is, by the way, like, again, not being too salesy, if you're too overwhelmed right now, or there's too much going on, I totally get it. But if you're looking to try to get some of those patients back, let me know. We can set up a time. So it was a little bit softer, but again, giving them the alternative of choice there also is powerful. So same social, email, cold calling, direct mail, all that. We just changed the messaging to the new problem and made it a little bit more emotional. And that's how we were able to go through this time.
That's perfect. That's really good advice. And I think a lot of people, and we were talking about this just before we came on, that a lot of people are actually afraid to do an outreach at the moment. They're not really sure, hey, is now the right time? Should I be actually speaking to people? Should I be calling people? Should I be sending people? And the message I get from you, KD, is do it, but just change your messaging slightly.
Yeah. Yes. And we also too, like, I put on a quick pause, right? So like when it went bad over here, like the first like few days, I told the team, I was like, yo, pause. We need to figure out a different way to do this, right? Mm-hmm. The old way isn't working. And like the responses were like negative, right? Like, it wasn't just like, hey, take me off your list. It was like, do you have a soul? Like, what are you doing calling me right now? So I put a pause. I said, give me 48 hours to like dive in and figure out how we can change that messaging. And then we started coming out with more of like the softer emotional side. And that's what we're able to like pull people in with. So I'm not saying go full bore, but you got to make sure you take the time to understand your prospect. Back to what I said with customers, go talk to customers, find out what they're struggling with. You'll know what your prospect is struggling with. Listen to how your customers describe it, right? I'm afraid if I'm going to be able to keep my practice open or not. Like if I'm hearing that a lot from our customers, then I know that's what my prospect's going through as well. And I can use some of that messaging.
Perfect. Perfect. Guys, look, we've gone way over here. And I just want to say from my side, a big thank you to both of you. The content has been really, really great. Thank you for everybody for joining. And guys, I wish you all the best, wish you good health. And I really hope that we can do something like this again soon.
Hell yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, guys. Take it easy. Bye.